It's Monday, the 4th of August, 2025. It's Coffee Time with Peter Gomez on YouTube, courtesy of Ja Oil and Wave. Let's talk about NPP and UDP. People say they are 6 and 9. You have reminded us that Barrow came from UDP. And a lot of people say, well, he's formed NPP with the same ideology as UDP. Is it correct to brand NPP and UDP 6 and 9?
That is false. It's millions miles away in planet Pluto from being the...
What differentiates the NPP
from the UDP?
Between
the UDP and the National People's Party. For us at National People's Party, we believe in social democracy. We believe in rule of law. We believe in tolerance. We believe in patience. We believe in inclusivity. We believe in propagating absolute socio-economic development of the country. We choose peace, hope, democracy, good governance, development, as opposed to intimidation, ridicule, violence, tribalism, and you call it. At President Barrow and the National People's Party, you know that our biggest and greatest preoccupation is to nurture and embolden the democracy that we have. You know, at the National People's Party, we believe that this country is a responsibility as citizens, as members of the National People's Party, to make a difference. We recognize the fact that at the time President Barrow and of course NPP was born, we had a lot of aspirations and the country had a lot of deficiencies in terms of infrastructural development, in terms of building and nurturing democracy, in terms of building and nurturing institutions, strengthening and building strong institutions, and of course in terms of moving away from tribal rhetorics to actually all inclusivity, getting development and getting each and every individual part of government and contribute your quota irrespective of our tribe, our religion, our culture, and our region. So it is in fact a crime to state that UDP and NPP are 6 and 9. And we believe that today Gambia is better off with the National People's Party. You know, Gambians choose President Barrow for the right reasons. Gambians have seen what the National People's Party's programs are. We sold it to the people, and it looked palatable and pleasant, and they bought it in excess. And the social contract we had with them in 2021 to date, we have been doing our utmost best to be equal to it. Of course, you know, we all here in the country, we know the happenings around the length and breadth of the Gambia in terms of nurturing democracy, people's liberty, fundamental rights of the people. But additionally, the National People's Party and President Barrow believe that there cannot be meaningful socio-economic development without infrastructure. That is why the president said his priority 1 is infrastructure.
And I want to talk
priority number 2 is infrastructure. Priority number 3 is infrastructure. Priority number 4 is infrastructure. On the premise that there cannot be an absolute development in the health sector without building our health infrastructure, getting the required basic equipment to be able to address the growing demand of ill health and ailments.
And I'll tell you what...
There cannot be development. You cannot have a reliable, accessible, affordable, and quality education in the absence of infrastructure. You cannot build the mindset to to improve the welfare and well-being of the Gambian people, to improve and build on socio-economic well-being of each and every citizen, whether the private, the farmer, the hawker, the teacher, the carpenter, the nurse, or the pilot, or the soldier, or the police, if you don't give them road infrastructure to be able to improve the GDP, the economic status of the country. Once you build a road to Bolibana, to a village in Sambatako, or a village in Kermot Ali, or Kerma Alima, or Ker Wolof, or Ker Uncle Peter,
well,
they will be proud.
You know that stretch from Jangjang, that runs behind our house.
Our house.
You,
Yes.
you know how. When will you get that sorted?
Well, with President Adama Barrow, everything is possible in terms of roads infrastructure. So once you put in a road infrastructure in those villages, now their citizens in urban centers or wherever they may be, they will conceive the ideas of building shops, of building carpentry workshops, of building welding workshops. So themselves, you are directly impacting on their daily income and economies. So therefore, you cannot also have investors. You cannot have a peace of mind. You cannot even sleep if there is no infrastructure for energy, for the government to supply reliable, accessible, and affordable energy to everybody. I tell you a story. Nyanija, since the creation of Gambia, we never had one by one magatamized road. Never in the history of the Gambia since creation. Since creation, we never had a single pole of electricity. The colonial government, the PPP government, the APRC government, never. When you go to Nyanija today, the president has divided the constituency into two and built a stretch, first-class road, magatamized road. He has given electricity to every hamlet and village in Nyanija.
So every home has electricity?
Yeah, we have only 9 villages or 9 hamlets that are not yet electrified. But the president said by end 2026, even if you're in a mountain or under the ocean, the depth of the sea, you'll have electricity.
I thought 2025, or is that now 2026?
Yeah, infrastructure, of course, is going on now. For instance, like Nyanija, almost every village, electricity pole or lines has passed in those villages. So it's just a matter of expanding. So when you go to Nyanija, you saw electricity poles or street light hovering over thatch roof.
Obviously.
Is that not development?
It is, yes.
That is unbelievable.
Infrastructure everywhere.
Yes.
But you know what, opponents of the president say, and not just UDP, other, politicians also say. I mean, the focus on infrastructure is because this is where the most corruption of this government, and this government has been labeled the most corrupt in the history of this country. This is where the most corruption is taking place.
That cannot be established. That's false. We recognize the fact that Gambians are enjoying liberty, democracy, and of course, due process and rule of law. But we want to urge all of us to speak with facts. You cannot just sit down and label or assert that corruption is taking place on road infrastructure or infrastructure without substantiating those claims. That's false. When
they say you overprice, the cost of 1 kilometer stretch of road.
Do they have any evidence?
By saying that it costs $5 million when others say it's just over one.
Do they have evidence? The Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, and of course the National Road Authority has been very transparent when it comes to documentations, advertisement, and awarding of contracts for constructions of roads or any other infrastructure is for public knowledge. And they have made statements as per cost of each road or each kilometer is there for people to go and verify. We cannot just because we are in a democracy, which will continue to nurture, and you just take your microphone or you go behind or under your bed and use the Facebook and accuse people of corruption without substantiating it. As a government, we are committed to fighting corruption. We are committed to doing so with due process. What the difference we have with people is that there are people calling us to be ruthless, to be oppressive, to arresting people and jailing them without due process. We are not going to do that. will continue to uphold. There was an audit report, for instance, and when there is the audit gave an opinion, and it comes to Parliament, and the National Assembly will come up with resolutions clearly defining and stating how we want things to happen. And those resolutions, in most of those cases, because once there's audit query, it's not a condemnation to prison. It's a query, it's an opinion they've formed, and the Parliament will look at those opinions and to look at the management letters, look at all the documents against the receipts, and then maybe that would be auditing the auditor's reports. And Parliament also will form an opinion and send it to the Chief Executive Officer of the country with recommendation for police investigations. And as we speak, in respect to those audit queries, whatever, and then Parliament will also recommend for the Inspector General of Police to investigate. And then from there, for them to be forwarded to the Ministry of Justice for legal opinion. So if, for instance, if anyone is accused of wrongdoing by the auditors and opinion, it cannot just, because of that, we send it to mile 2. It has to go through due process. And that is being done at the time, at this hour. So therefore, you cannot just, because we have not seen an audit opinion stating that the National Roads Authority or the Ministry of Works overprice in the awarding of contracts or roads. That has never happened. Okay. So therefore, because in fact, it has never been an audit query or an audit opinion, you cannot just sit down and say there's massive corruption, because the president is giving the Gambian people what they want. He's giving them road construction. He's giving them infrastructural development. Now you cannot appreciate government in those drive, and you believe because of that the Gambian people will continue to elect the National People's Party and the president, and you want to come up with these flimsy excuses.
Oh, okay.
I want them to go to Hakalang, or to go to Nyanija, or them to go to Salum, or Sabak Sanjal, or for them to go to Wulli, or to go to the Fuladus, and tell them that your roads will not be constructed because during the Lekayon, they will beat them to death.
They will?
They will beat, of course.
Okay.
So we must move away from politics of deception.
I support move.
Politics of intimidation, politics of false accusation, to politics of positivity. Okay. To embrace the president and the National People's Party's aggressive infrastructural development for our people.
All right.
And of course, we talked about that, but on education, there are a lot of untold story. Now that the Minister of Higher Education is doing extremely well, look at the transformation of our higher institutions of learning, building first-class infrastructure, awarding hundreds of scholarships by government to students annually. These are unheard for. Okay. And that is the priority of the National People's Party.
We're talking to the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Alhaji Seedy S.K. Njai. I just call him Seedy because he grew up before my very eyes. He's also the Deputy Speaker of the National People's Party, the ruling party. You trumpet the democratic values of the NPP and President Adama Barrow. But a lot of people will look at what happened with, the 2020 draft constitution and the 2024 offering, especially what the 2024 sought to achieve on his behalf. And they say, well, this man is becoming increasingly undemocratic. He is becoming actually a despot, if you like, because he wants all powers, for himself. How do you respond to that?
Uncle Peter, that's ignorant. There is no provision in the 2024 draft that seeks to entrench the president or that seeks to promote dictatorship and that seek to promote authoritarian.
Well, they're saying, certain provisions seek to take power away from the National Assembly,
that is false.
From the judiciary, and concentrate everything,
Uncle Peter,
in the presidency.
Uncle Peter, that's false. There is not a single provision. You see, it is very unfortunate that people, those peddling those misinformation, if you ask them, they have not read a single provision in the draft. We agree there is no constitution that will, of course, get the total 100% consensus of each citizen. We agree. But I can assure you, I can safely state that let them come up with a single clause that seeks to entrench dictatorial or despot, as you put it in this country. It's wrong. In fact, President Barrow is not such a leader who want to amass power and misuse or abuse them. For instance, the current 1997 Constitution is the one that's the supreme law of the country. And the president, and it was here before, since 1996. Have you ever seen or heard action of President Barrow that are against rule of law or due process? Have you ever done such, Uncle Peter? Never. Nobody will tell you that. And there is not a single word in the 2024 draft. You see, the problem is 2020 draft came to Parliament and it died.
Killed by who?
Due process by the United Democratic Party at the time. They were the majority in Parliament. There was no NPP. NPP was non-existent at the time. People are peddling false information.
Which is?
Which is that the NPP killed the 2020 draft. That's false. That's not correct.
No, they pin it on the president.
No, that's false. That's not correct, Uncle Peter. You see, Uncle Peter, in 2017, 2018 to 2022, UDP had absolute majority in Parliament.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Now they had absolute majority in Parliament. They could have changed all the laws that they are now crying for today. The only law they changed was the age limit. The age limit. That's the only.
And why did they change the age limit?
Yeah, to allow ANMW to contest. You know, Uncle Peter, we are very unfortunate sometimes as a country. Because you see, grown-up people, grown-up men and women will only choose to mislead the people. We are politicians. You cannot say that politics is about lying also. That's false. That's not correct. When they came in, they could have changed because they said the former government amended the constitution by 50 times. What stopped them from changing those 50 clauses and amending them again and bring them back to the constitution? What's stopping them at the time? Looking forward in ensuring that the elections bill passed. What stopped them from enacting piece of legislation that will enhance our democracy, that will enhance our electoral, that will reform our electoral process and processes? You remember, in 2017 to 2021, before 2017, they came out, they said they need electoral reform. They said the Public Order Act is undemocratic, it's unconstitutional. They enjoyed absolute majority from 2017 to 2022. They could have even amended the Public Order Act and also the electoral reform. But you know what? They were actually using the Public Order Act, which they called at the time undemocratic, and they wanted to change it, and they were using it. They cannot fool us, Uncle Peter. These are facts. Are scientific evidence. Book no lie. This is the truth.
Book no lie.
You know, Uncle Peter, all the piece of legislation that they are crying for today, they could have changed them when they were in government. But they believe that those laws at the time should not have been changed. The only priority they said Gambia have, with all the howling, bowling, hoofing and boofing they were doing when they came into power, the only law they told Gambian is the most important legal instrument to amend, to legislate, is the cap on age limit to contest president. Now, can they preach the NPP? Should they preach government that we are not committed to legal reform? We are not committed to putting of legislations that will enhance the service delivery of government? No, they are never. That's false. That's hypocrisy, munafiqun. And it's haram in Islam and in haram in Christianity to play hypocritical
Okay.
on mind.
So Barrow is not seeking to be a dictator, a despot, or any of that at all.
The entire world, even toddlers, the 2-year, 3-year, if you ask such question to them and you insinuate that Barrow is trying to be despot, the toddler will say you are lying.
Well, go to the opposition and they will say yes, he is.
Yes. You remember the opposition are crying for legal reform. They were in absolute majority in parliament.
You just said that. Let's move on.
They have never done that. So whatever they are saying is to hook win the people, is to fool the people. But harama wahla lolu du leka, ken du leka nahate wax lo xamne amut. Can you imagine opposition di wax ne yoon duñ ko leka, courant duñ ko leka?
Why yoon ken du ko leka, courant ken du ko leka?
Yeah, because they are saying ne waru ñoo jot the people of Nyanija roads, waru ñoo jot the people of Hakalang roads, waru ñu leen infrastructure roads. They think lolu nahate bobu nonu, let them go and meet the people. Okay. In 2026 they'll be defeated woefully.
You spoke about tribalism. Actually, the opposition is saying the NPP and President Barrow per se is fueling tribalism more than any one can be accused of doing, because every now and again
Uncle Peter,
he brings the Sarahulis together at State House. Every now and again he brings the Fullers to State House. Every now and again he brings...
Uncle Peter.
So why would he do
Uncle
that?
Peter, the highest double standard and hypocritical. You remember when the UDP issued a statement, they said the president met those Mandinka Muslim Elder Society. It was the same week, in fact, it was 5 days after the United Democratic Party received what they call Fuller Society recognizing their mayor. The highest double standard. But government will never listen to them. They just celebrated, they said the Fullers recognized their mayor. And they also celebrated, they said the Fullers adopted the UDP of honorary father or what. Then the following week they issued that statement. It was joke, it was laughable. In the Gambia, your finger deka fila deka nye fila deka. We know which party is founded on basis of tribalism and which party is advancing and advocating for tribalism, and which party have gone to villages and towns in the Gambia claiming people came from Guinea-Bissau, came from Senegal, came from Casamas. They should not be accurate voters card. That's the United Democratic Party. They can be best described as a tribalist cult. They cannot do that. We can't say that. Feel like Decker. Yeah, but at the same time, now the president, when you look at President Barrow, his government, his political party, national executive, and cabinet is an all-inclusive cabinet.
Yeah, old habits
all
die
the
hard.
Tribes.
If Barrow learned his politics in this UDP that you say is tribalist, tendencies are he will, go to any new party with these tendencies. That's the accusation.
No. You see, that's about attitude. If the president had the tendency of the United Democratic Party, he would have been the worst dictator in the whole world, worse than Idi Amin.
You're saying he does not have?
He does not. You know, Uncle Peter, yourself, and everybody knows he does not have. The president, he's an astute human being who respects people's fundamental rights, people's liberties, who act and ensure and assert democracy, rule of law, due process, and good governance. That's why the United Democratic Party themselves saying that, insulting the president every day, insulting everybody, bullying and attacking people, acting in a hooliganism manner. They've never dared to do that in the APRC government. They knew very well President Barrow's attitude and them is like day and night in full Allah Alladu.
So how do you, or what do you make of people associating his comment, was it, a couple of years ago?
75%?
No, we haven't come to that yet. Don't forget that I still have the army, I have the police, I have ECOMIC, and I have what. And people were saying, oh no, now he's threatening people.
That was even before 2020 election. He told them.
Why did he have to say that?
No, he said, let them not forget.
Yeah.
The powers that was here yesterday is the same powers are here today. The army, the police, this and that. That's what I have.
Now, he even said that.
And I will protect the territorial integrity of this country. And I want people to observe maximum due respect and rule of law. And he said, lest we forget, I am the elected president of this country, and I will be the only one to be accounted by Gambians election time. I will take my responsibility of protecting, because he made that statement, of protecting the minorities, of protecting every tribe and every region and every religion in this country. He made those assertions. He have never and ever acted in a manner seemingly to be anti-democracy or anti-rule of law or good governance. Uncle Peter, the president, he can best be described as one of the most democratic presidents in the whole world. Nobody can dispute that. We can proudly say that. And he can best be described as the mother and the father of modern infrastructural development of this country. We are always proud when we see people come out from diaspora and visit Gambia to see what people are saying and what is happening is like day and night. We are happy, and we are happy that majority of the Gambian people appreciate the current trajectory of government in terms of everything. And we are happy that we've never slipped off from a social contract we had with the Gambian people. We are a party that has programs and policies, and we are implementing them according to plan. And the president never wants anyone to deflect or deviate on along those paths.
All right.